station, 1370 WOCA.
Ocala.
All right, 5 minutes after 11 o'clock. Thank you for tuning in. It's a nice-looking Thursday. Hope you're doing well. We're going to talk about your health. And so many times when you hear about what you need to do to lose weight, what you need to do to stay healthy, sleep is an important part of this. And sleep is free. You can sleep for free. It doesn't cost you anything. I sleep for free all the time. And the problem with my particular job is I get up very early. I have to get up at 3 o'clock in order to do this. And if I don't get to bed in time, then I face this wall about 2 o'clock or so where it's like, oh my gosh, I have to go to sleep somewhere. But so I don't know if insomnia is what you would consider what I have, since it's kind of work forced, I guess you might say. In the studio is Dr. Grodonoff Nelson. He's been with us before. He's a primary care provider with Family Care Specialists of Ocala. And Brittany Marthaler is here. I know you don't want to say anything, Brittany, but Brittany is a communications manager at Ocala Health. And she invited Dr. Nelson to be back with us to talk to us about insomnia. And in the course of this interview, we'll take phone calls, right? So the phone number is 622-WOCA if you'd like to ask a question. And the topic is insomnia, why we can't fall asleep or stay sleeping. So,
yeah.
Good morning, doctor. How you doing?
Good morning. Thanks for having me.
My main reason for not being able to stay asleep is my dog.
Always waking you up?
My dog has a prostate problem, I think. I don't know. I hear the commercial. This is you have to get up to urinate all night long, and no, I don't. But my dog apparently does, so I get up all night long.
Well, the thing about insomnia is, it has to be defined by 3 different criteria. The main thing is if you notice that you're having difficulty staying asleep, difficulty falling asleep, especially if you notice that, just staying asleep for the whole night, you find yourself waking up in the middle of the night, not just to get up and urinate. That could be something else going on. Prostate issues could be a concern. But if you notice that you're just constantly getting up or unable to really fall asleep the way that you should, is a concern. Other thing, if you're having other effects, other issues when it comes to medications could be a cause that's causing you to not stay asleep, which could be a factor. Other thing, if you have daytime impairment or somnolence, if let's say you're tired throughout the whole day, unable to really function, work at a high capacity, then it could be because of insomnia, difficulty staying asleep, you're constantly waking up in the middle of the night, and you're unable to fully focus while at work.
I used to work a night shift, and I hated the night shift. Some people love it. I could not stand it. And the problem, and the question that I'm going to ask you that's drawn from that experience was that I would sometimes, because I had trained myself basically to be up all night long, my shift ended at 7 a.m. Mm-hmm. My plan every single day was to get to bed by 8 a.m. Mm-hmm. And if I didn't, if let's say there was a party going on or something like that, it was a Saturday and I was going to help out. Now it's 3 p.m. and I haven't slept since yesterday.
Wow. Oh, yeah.
Sometimes I'm so tired, I can't sleep. Not now, because I don't do this anymore.
Yeah. Well, the thing is, some individuals, they find themselves, everybody is different. Some people, they recommend that they sleep 8 hours. Some individuals, 6 hours, they're fine. Some individuals, 5 hours, they're good. But it's always good to get the same amount of sleep that's the norm for you. If you're not getting enough sleep, like, for example, individuals that are in residency, they're going, 30 hours sometimes without sleep, and they're unable to function at a high level. Yeah, you're awake because your brain is telling you, hey, time to go to sleep, but your other senses are like, well, I need to stay awake for whatever reason. But part of your brain, in a sense, is kind of trying to go into that sleep cycle. There's different sleep cycles that you go through, and impairing either one of them could cause you to not be able to function at a level that you need to function in order for you to do your work or even drive. That's why they always say, they recommend that you get enough sleep, especially because you need a lot of focus when you're driving out in the streets. A lot of accidents occur because individuals, not because they're drunk or anything, but because they just haven't had enough sleep.
Yeah, right. So to define insomnia, would we exclude the work that requires you? Like, would you exclude, like if I said I had insomnia because I worked the night shift, would you say, well, that's not insomnia?
Yeah, that's not necessarily insomnia. That's more so like your circadian rhythm is all off. Some individuals, especially we find it with nurses, some of them they'll work, the day shift, then a few days later they'll work the night shift, or different types of job security they'll work. Their shifts constantly is changing, so the circadian rhythm is all off. So that causes them to have difficulty falling asleep because the night before they were working all night, or a few days ago they were working all day. Now they have to work the night shift. So that's not really insomnia per se. Insomnia is more so difficulty with just initiating sleep or staying asleep, which is a big concern because more than 50% of elderly individuals 65 years and up complain of insomnia. But then it's interesting is half of those individuals suffer from depression. So depression could be the cause of insomnia. Wow. Other issues that could cause insomnia are like sleep apnea. That's why it's important to tell your physician, I'm having difficulty falling asleep, but describe everything else that's going on. Are you, waking up in the middle of the night, gasping for air? Does your partner say, like, look, you spend a minute and I don't hear you breathing at all? That could be sleep apnea. You need to get evaluated for that because that could be causing your insomnia. And if you have sleep apnea, it could lead into other things such as hypertension and other disease states that could just snowball into even death. So it's important to get insomnia addressed to figure out what's causing it.
That's not good. And in sleep apnea, how's that treated?
So sleep apnea, the way to first you have to be evaluated, and the best way to be evaluated for sleep apnea is to get a sleep study. So you go to a sleep lab and they'll monitor you for the whole night. Sometimes it may take 1 or 2 nights to fully monitor all your levels, the way you're breathing, how many respirations that you're taking, if that's off, how many times you're waking up in the middle of the night, are you having restless legs, are you shuffling throughout the night. So they'll evaluate you and see, okay, this individual does have sleep apnea, and then you'll need to be treated with a special, sometimes machines, sometimes either surgery. So different modes of treatment can be done depending on the results.
I've never really liked sleeping pills. I don't think I've ever really taken one, but this cold that I'm just finally getting over, early on in the cold, I did take NyQuil. And NyQuil kind of will make you sleep, right? Maybe that's the idea.
Yeah.
But I hated the way I felt when I woke up. It gives me this bad feeling.
I always try to tell patients, if you're having issues with sleep, don't just go the easy route and go take a pill. A lot of individuals, they'll try to go over the counter, take a pill. Well, let me just take this. And it may work for the first few nights, but you feel horrible in the morning and, you're not really addressing the problem. First, I always say figure out the problem, why you're having difficulty falling asleep before trying to go and get a pill. Maybe you just may need, a pill. Some individuals, being severely depressed, they'll go to a very stressful situation. They'll lose a family member and they just have difficulty falling asleep. For that short period of time, we'll address, maybe that short-term depression, or maybe, give them something to help them sleep. For those, 2 to 3 months where it's really rough, use it as needed and get over that, and they should go back into the normal cycle. So it just depends on the specific situation.
Do we understand what sleep actually contributes to? What does it actually do for us? I mean, we all like it, but... Yeah,
I mean, like, a lot of, mammals and just, a lot of creatures require sleep in order to rejuvenate. So it causes a slowdown in our cells, helps cells multiply, helps us to be able to get our energy back. Because you can't go 24 hours nonstop. You won't make it. You'll end up dying. So it's important that you get sleep and get proper amount of sleep, individually based in order to rejuvenate your body. So it's very important that you sleep, you get the proper amount of sleep. And it's important, I always tell patients to get the proper sleep hygiene. So there's a certain type of ritual that one goes through that before they go to sleep. Some individuals, they have to, take a shower, feel refreshed, go to bed. It's important to keep all the lights off.
Doesn't that feel good?
Yeah, exactly. So keep all the lights off.
Clean.
Don't eat a large meal prior to going to bed. Because a lot of individuals, we notice that they're having difficulty staying asleep is because of acid reflux. The acid reflux is so bad that they're constantly tossing and turning. And once you get the acid reflux under control, they'll sleep better. It could even be for anything like osteoarthritis, which is joint pain that they're constantly getting, because they're always shifting in the middle of the night. They have a bad shoulder, shift on that shoulder, it hurts, have to turn over. So you're constantly tossing and turning because your knee hurts. So getting the arthritis addressed, getting that treated could help you stay and fall asleep so you're not constantly in pain throughout the night.
And I don't know if this is a different topic, but do dreams play a role in our sleep, and what role do they play?
Definitely. There's while you're sleeping, there's two different types of phases. There's the rapid eye movement, where there's REM sleep, and there's a non-rapid eye movement. So the non-rapid eye movement has about 4 cycles in it. The first 2 cycles are initiating sleep, and then the last 3 or 4 cycles you go into deep sleep. And then the last cycle would be the rapid eye movement cycle, which is the 5th stage. And that stage is when you're having dreams. Your eyes are rapidly moving, and in that state, your body relaxes, and you're in the dream realm, so to speak. The thing is that older individuals, they have a longer phase 1, phase 2, which is the light sleep, they'll call it. And they have less deep sleep, so they're unable to, go through the stages appropriately, and they're unable to really fall asleep, and it takes longer for them to fall asleep.
Dr. Grodonoff Nelson is our guest, and we're talking about insomnia. And Dr. Nelson has been here with us before as a guest of Brittany, Cala Health, and everybody over there. And the information you've given us before, I mean, you obviously are a well-rounded doctor. You've got so many. So have you ever had a patient come to you and you're trying to figure out, well, what is exactly wrong, and it turns out it's just sleep?
Yeah, sometimes it's just having difficulty falling asleep, and then if we don't find any underlying issues, addressing it with doing the proper sleep hygiene.
Right.
I don't like going directly for a pill first, but sometimes you need to go down that route. And we'll start with some individuals, if they have difficulties falling asleep, maybe doing something over the counter like melatonin, which is a natural substance, so to speak, chemical made in the body. Giving yourself melatonin could possibly help you fall asleep. Now, I'm not telling anybody to go out there and purchase melatonin, but if we figure out nothing else is going on, some individuals do well with that. Some individuals doesn't work at all. There's different types of things we can address, or medications we could give them to help them fall asleep. And some individuals, it just takes a few pills per week so they could fall asleep. It's not every day they're having difficulty sleeping. So we'll help figure out what exactly is going on, and we'll address it depending on the patient. But each individual is different. But when it comes to humans, there's different disease states, and we're all alike when it comes to disease states. We're all can be exposed to different things that could cause us to react in a certain way. But each individual, we have to tailor the therapies differently.
When I was younger, I was driving a lot because I used to play music at colleges, and so I'd be driving all night long trying to get to the next school. Mm-hmm. And I used to buy this product called No Dose, and I think it was just pure caffeine. I'm not so sure, but it kept me, well, I don't know that it kept me awake. That's why I took it, but I don't know if it really did or if I just took it thinking it would.
Yeah.
But I noticed my eye, like my eyelid twitching. Mm-hmm. And after a while, I said, you know what? I think it's this No Dose stuff. Yeah. I'm stopping. Is that...
Yeah, definitely. I mean, the thing is, we noticed that caffeine causes you to remain awake, but especially in the elderly population, they'll drink 1 or 2 cups of coffee per day, and they've done that their whole life. Well, the thing is, as they age, your liver does not eliminate things the same way as you were when you were 20 years old. So the caffeine can stay in your system for 8 to 10 hours, and you had a cup, let's say early in the afternoon, but you just have difficulty falling asleep. Well, maybe cutting back on the coffee, you'll notice that you'll fall asleep better.
Could be simple as that.
Simple as that, or even nicotine. Smoking, cigarettes, even e-cigarettes. High amounts of nicotine could stimulate you to the point where you're unable to fall asleep. So, doing different things. Speaking to the patient, figuring out exactly what's going on in their lives. Certain adjustments can be made, which may be simple or a bit more complicated, but making those specific changes, it could totally change their outlook on sleep.
We have a phone call coming in. If you put the headphones on, you'll be able to hear the caller. Let me invite other callers. If you want to speak to Dr. Nelson, this is a good time. The number is 622-9622, the WOCA Climate Control Source Hotline, 622-WOCA. Good morning. You're on the air with Dr. Nelson. Are you there? Well, no, I guess not. Call back if you disconnected or something. Here it comes. I think it might be the same caller. Good morning. You're on the air.
Yes, I'm sorry we got disconnected. Good morning, doctor.
Hey, good morning.
Several years ago, I had a problem of falling to sleep, but once I got to sleep, I was fine. And I didn't want to get involved, like Larry said, with getting involved with taking medication, pills, and all that other kind of stuff. And this doctor recommended, he said, about an hour before sleep time, I want you to have 2 small glasses of red wine. And I've been doing that for about 2 years, and let me tell you, it's the greatest thing in the world for going to sleep. It's just, in about an hour's time, you must get in bed because you're going to drop over if you don't. What do you think about that?
Well, I mean, if it works well for you, that's great. Some individuals, they find like drinking wine, 1 or 2 glasses per day. We usually recommend, no more than 2 glasses for men and one glass for women. But if it's working well and helping you, fall asleep, just calm you down, and getting you to, that level of sleeping, it should be safe taking 1 or 2 more glasses, not 1 or 2 glasses. Now, going beyond that, I wouldn't recommend. But if it's working, well for you, that's fine. But the thing is, I have to be careful when it comes to different patients. So I don't want to tell them to take, to drink.
Everybody's different, right?
Everybody's different because certain medications, another individual may be on drinking wine or alcohol, prior to sleeping is not recommended. And I also never recommend anyone to drink any alcohol with a sleep medication because that could be detrimental. But if it's working great for you, then that's awesome.
And again,
thank you very much.
Thank you. And please call if you have another question. So you have to really study each patient individually. There's no one-size-fits-all for this, is there?
Exactly. I mean, my approach is when the patient comes in, we work as a team. So I try to do my best to listen to everything the patient has to say, try to figure out who they are, what they've been through, and taking as much time as needed to be able to figure that out, especially in their initial visit. And then once I kind of get to know them, they'll tell me a few things, and a few words that they'll say will trigger other questions. So really getting a thorough history is important because everybody's different. Everybody's experiences are different. Their medication profile may be different. So it's important to take all those things into consideration in figuring out what's wrong and figuring out a proper treatment plan. And it's not one size fits all ever.
Is it ever so extreme that you recommend a sleep lab? And I don't even know what that is. I know we've got them though.
Mm-hmm. So I mean, it depends on their complaints. But like I said, if they have increased daytime somnolence, they're really sleepy during the day, difficulty focusing at work, always tired, falling asleep in meetings, if they're having issues where their partner says they're waking up in the middle of the night, gasping for air, but they don't even know it, or they're snoring really loud. Mm-hmm. I mean, all those, symptoms, I would recommend getting a sleep study and being evaluated for possible sleep apnea because you want to get that addressed.
I worked with a publisher some years ago, and she would fall asleep right there on the spot. And at first I giggled because I'm a silly guy, but she had this condition. I can't remember. It start with an N.
Narcolepsy.
Thank you. That was crazy. Yeah.
Some. I mean, the thing is that's why I say it's important to ask the proper questions and figure out the patient's history because they could be having, other disease states than just, hey, I'm having issues with sleep. Well, what type of issues are you having? Getting a good history is very important.
And she couldn't drive.
Yeah.
Because it could happen while she was driving.
Exactly.
That's crazy. Is that something that can be treated? Can be fixed?
Yeah, there's medications to help with narcolepsy, but it's a hard disease to deal with because, like you said, I mean, you could fall asleep anytime. You could be driving and then fall asleep while driving. That's very dangerous. So
is insomnia one of those conditions that we think we don't need a doctor for? We say, I don't need a doctor for that. I'll fix it. Do we do this? Because we do this a lot with some things, like the common cold. We say, I don't need a doctor for that.
I mean, sometimes it just could be something short term, like, you have a night or two where you're having difficulty falling asleep. You'll take a Benadryl and you'll fall asleep and you'll be fine. A Tylenol PM, you'll take it and you'll be fine. But if it's, persistent, you're having this ongoing, you just can't sleep because you need to sleep to function, especially during the day or to do your job, and it's impairing your ability to work, ability to do well in school. Then it's time to see a physician and discuss what's going on and figure out what's the best treatment options for you. So I think if it's 1 or 2 days here and there, occurring, once or twice per month, all right, that's fine. But if it's something that's persistent, then get evaluated.
Do you remember the catalog, the Sharper Image? I don't even know if it's still around. Do you remember that one? They used to sell these cool devices like vibrating chairs and lights that spun around. They had a sleep device, and all it really did was play sounds. Like white noise was one of them, and ocean waves was another. So, I mean, is that their claim was that if you're having trouble sleeping, find the sound that comforts you and you'll fall asleep.
Yeah, the thing is that we recommend, like, for the whole sleep hygiene, if you're having, let's say you're in bed and you're having difficulty falling asleep, we recommend getting out of bed for 30 minutes, going to another room, doing something that's non-stimulating. Don't eat anything, don't open the TV or anything, just grab a book, read it.
Right.
Maybe drink a glass of milk or something, a warm glass of milk, and then go back to bed and try to fall asleep. In bed, you shouldn't have all the stimulus. Bed should be only used for sleep and intimacy, and that's it. I mean, you shouldn't have
intimacy will make you sleepy.
Yeah. So it can't
does
work.
I don't know if it does for you ladies.
It can't.
I saw two elephants doing it one time at the Jacksonville Zoo. The male fell asleep as soon as he was done. He laid down. I said, "Wow, I do that."
Yeah. So, I mean, for humans, it's the bed should only be used for those two things. It shouldn't have the dog, the cat, the kids, the newspapers, work. Some people bring their work to bed.
Right.
They have the radio playing, all this and all that. It should be just dark, relaxing time. And that's why probably with the Sharper Image, they use that sound, listen to relaxing music, nothing loud, just relaxing music, and then just fall asleep.
By the way, the dark part, when I worked at nights, I used to line my windows with aluminum foil. It worked perfectly. My room was like nighttime when I was sleeping in the daytime. I hated that. I never want that again. Yeah. Although a nighttime radio job is kind of cool, especially if you're playing music at night. You get to do the Dr. Johnny Fever thing, you play those cool songs. Yeah, it's kind of fun. So what would be the first step if somebody said, you know what, I'm really struggling with insomnia? Pretty much anybody doesn't really want to be depending on pills. So what's the first step? They come see you, and then
yeah. Well, we will try to figure out what's going on. If it's just purely issues with falling asleep, sometimes we'll try different things. I mean, if you've been having issues falling asleep for months on end, trying a few things for a few days, and not necessarily going direct to the pill is what I would recommend. Something as simple as direct sunlight during the day, getting some sun. We have patients where, they're indoors all day. And we ask, why are you indoors all day? Oh, I just, because of my work, or I don't feel like going out. Sometimes it could be a form of depression that they're going through.
Yeah,
maybe, getting to the bottom of the depression, considering either medications or having them see a psychologist, psychotherapist, discussing, certain issues. That could possibly help them and get them to the next level where they'll be able to, be more calm, think more clearly, and be able to go to sleep. So, doing different things, working on the sleep hygiene, maybe even doing a little melatonin depending on the situation. And then, if those things don't work, consider possibly going to the next step and taking medications. But we have to be careful which medications to take and for how long.
Yeah. If you're out there and you are having a hard time falling asleep, or maybe you know somebody, the information that we just heard today from Dr. Nelson is recorded. It'll be on the WOCA YouTube channel, as well as the WOCA Facebook page. Plus, of course, we'll share it with our friends at Ocala Health, and then you guys will help spread it around. In the meantime, the phone number is probably what they're waiting for. Can you give us that number again, your number?
Yeah, our number is 352-351-0120. And if you wish, you could look us up online. You could, if you want, Google my name, Dr. Nelson Ocala, and all our information should come up.
You can also make your appointment online now as well with Family Care. The website is Ocala Health FCS. That's for family care specialists.
Okay.
And then just look up Dr. Nelson, and there's a little button, make an appointment now.
All right.
So make it
Excellent.
convenient.
Excellent. And does the consultant nurse hotline, does that have that information as well?
You can, yes. Dr. Nelson is listed as one of our providers. That number is 800 530-1188.
All right. Brittany and Dr. Nelson, thank you both so much. Thank you for coming in.
Thank you for having me.
you.
Appreciate it.
And we will take a little break and be right back.
Fox News Radio, I'm Lillian Wu. The National 9/11 Memorial Museum is dedicated.
Here, we tell their story so that generations yet unborn will never forget.
President Obama and the First Lady earlier touring the museum at Ground Zero. It opens to the public May 21st. In the San Diego area, a